Let's go.
What a lovely day!
Andy, there's a whole world out there. Jump in.
Can you dig it?
Yeah.
You must always pay strict attention.
I was just completely enamored by it the entire time.
Dude, he did not have to go that hard.
I know, man. Isn't it wild?
The Jared Cast.
So it begins.
Hello, and welcome to the Jared Cast. No exciting intro today. A yummy episode of the Jared Cast. I'm one of your hosts, a sleepy boy named Jared. With me, as always, it doesn't change, except it probably will for at least a little bit soon. Maybe we'll see. It's Jared. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Excuse me. I'm also a bit of a sleepy boy. Just had a lot of late nights, both between prepping for this and editing my brother's thing, and what else was I doing? Oh yeah, I was reading.
Like a nerd.
It's one of those weeks where I just don't remember what went on, but a lot went on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm excited to watch this. I tried to watch it twice. I had to like brush my teeth during some episodes just to like make up the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I'm excited to talk about the bear.
Yeah, same. It must be winter because we're a couple of sleeping bears today. Yeah, I've been doing my best gentrified do the right thing impression and delivered pizzas in sweltering heat all day. But I couldn't be more excited to still talk about food. New show that's gonna probably get annoying with people recommending. Alert! We're talking The Bear from FX and Hulu. I love this shit. I was an early adopter, and I was already bothering too many people about it. And I'm going to continue doing it because it's great. But before we jump into it, we've got a top 5, don't we, Jared?
We certainly do. This top 5 topic comes at the request of your lady.
My lady.
That's on Bill Burr's podcast. Every time he says the word lady. She suggested this topic. It's top 5 favorite ways to eat eggs.
Yeah. Which is weird too, because she's not really an egg person at all.
Weird. Wait, so what?
I don't know why she was inspired, but
all right. It's inspiration just it's magic, man. It's magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think we also are going to try to challenge ourselves to continue to do top 5 related food related top 5s for the foreseeable future. We'll see how it goes.
We're a food podcast now. The bear was our transition we needed.
Exactly. But yeah, do you want me to start or do you want to start?
Yeah, you could take it away.
All right. I went with, for my number 5, this is eaten by a lot of Filipino American people, a lot of Hawaiian people, and a lot of people in general, because Hawaiian food is getting more and more popular, and Filipino food is slowly getting more mainstream. But yeah, I decided to go with the Loco Moco for my number 5. It's basically just sticky rice, teriyaki sauce, and steak or a chicken fried steak, and then just a fried egg sunny side up on top of it. And it is delicious. It's great for it'll put some hair on your balls if you're eating it for brunch, definitely. And but it's also a great dinner. I wouldn't be so crazy as to eat teriyaki for breakfast, but Loco Moco is a good number 5, I think.
Yeah, that's a great number 5. Narrowly missed my list. because I had to put the world's most Caucasian food as number 5. A staple for white families across this blessed land. That's the deviled egg.
Yes.
A picnic staple. Maybe it's just because I like paprika and I always fucking douse it in paprika.
Yeah.
But something about the presentation, the egg whites are always great because that's the best part of hard-boiled eggs is the egg whites, and so changing up the yolk is just the perfect way to do it. And I love this shit, man. Any Super Bowl party or like Thanksgiving or anything where they're just out, I'm eating like half of them. I am a fiend when it comes to deviled eggs, so they're my number 5.
Yeah, man. It's a good choice. It's a good choice. It is very white, but it
Oh, absolutely.
but I like deviled eggs. You know, I actually I recently tried one and I put sriracha on it and I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is the move now.
Yeah. Yeah. See, they're so versatile. You can put anything on that shit.
Exactly. All right. My number 4 is tried and true in multiple different forms from multiple different cultures, primarily the Mexican American food sphere. It is the breakfast burrito. I think the burrito is maybe my favorite, like just meat delivery system. I think it's just a great way to eat a lot of meat and veggie and pepper and rice in one bite. But what's nice about the breakfast burrito is you can still get a lot of those like spicy, awesome flavors. But when you put scrambled eggs in there, or I've even seen people put sunny side up eggs and just roll them up with the burrito.
Wow. That's insane.
It's an insane move, and it's way too rich. But I loved it. I loved just like the first 2 bites. But yeah, scrambled eggs in a burrito is just, I don't know, it's just genius. It's got a lot of protein, wakes you the hell up. You can put whatever salsa, whatever hot sauce you want on the side, and just dip it every single bite. Mix it with bacon or sausage or both, and potatoes, and that's a full breakfast that you can hold in one hand, man.
Yeah, dude. I'm a little slut for a breakfast burrito. There's a place here in Southern Oregon called Ruby's. Has the best breakfast burritos I've had, and they're great. Great meat ratio. The hash browns they put in are fantastic. Their only downfall is their jalapenos always suck, and so I have to always like minimize their inclusion. But yeah, a fantastic pick for sure.
Yep. What's your number 4?
I'd love to tell you. Because it's another pretty white food. My list is pretty white for the first 2 at least, and then maybe return later. We'll see. But I'm a bit of a brunch lover, and no brunch is complete without eggs Benny on the table, and eggs Benedict. Hollandaise sauce is probably the most underrated mother sauce, if that's a take I'm allowed to have. I love that shit. It's super easy to fuck up though, but if you're at a restaurant, usually they got it. Not a big ham guy, but they don't always have ham. Sometimes you'll get sausage or normal people bacon, which is always delightful. English muffins are always fantastic, but for me, it's about that egg. This is the favorite ways to eat eggs, not favorite breakfast foods. And that like perfectly runny, like poached egg just gets me going every time. And having that on top of bread to like soak that shit up is a 10 out of 10.
Hell to the yeah. White people just got breakfast down, man.
Yeah, hey, at least we did one thing right.
Yeah, man, I love it. I actually just had like an eggs Benedict for the first time, like not too long ago.
Really?
I think it was last year actually that I just tasted it for the first time. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Like,
I see what I see what the white fuss is all about.
I see what these whites have been doing out here with their mimosas.
Oh yeah. Mine is it's also pretty white. It's a meat lover's omelet for my number 3. I just love meat. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what else to add to this. Just meat and eggs and hot sauce and then hash browns on the side, and then I just knife and fork it all and mix it all together. And it's just this gross greasy mess that I can't get enough of. But the egg actually really makes that bite really nice, because you need some fluff to contrast with the crispy bacon and the greasy sausage.
Yeah. It's good to get some protein with your protein. Yeah, the only time I eat omelets is at if I'm at a buffet at a casino or a cruise or something, because the omelet station is always just the highlight, and for some reason I never have omelets outside of that. Yeah, little fun fact about Jared. My number 3, we're finally expanding outside of my culture, because this I think it's not the best part of the meal that it's included in, but it's always one of the parts I'm most excited about, and that's the soft boiled egg in ramen. Because it soaks up the broth super nicely. You could kind of pick how, when you want to dig in, it's a little treat that's just waiting there, getting a little more boiled by the second. And that first bite, after you get all the savoriness, the little bite of egg is always just such a nice palate cleanser. And it's always, I don't know, I always treat it like a little treat in the side of my bowl that I'm just excited to get to.
Hell yeah. After a long day's work, you gotta save those treats, man. You gotta savor them.
Amen. Yeah.
Mine is pretty similar, but it's a little more just, I don't know, like home style or ghetto. I don't know, whatever. I just crack an egg into a soup or a stew, and I just let it go, and that's my favorite thing. I do that with my ramen. My friend sent me a Korean stew. Was it chicken? Yeah, it was a kimchi stew, and you just crack an egg in at the end and just let it cook for a minute. Turn the heat off, and it works really well. It gets all over your noodles when you break it up, and it just really, it's like a nice little glue to hold all the other toppings together. It looks really beautiful, no matter how cheap your soup or your stew was. It just, you put it in the middle, and then you get a little fork and open it up a little, let it bleed out. That's your Instagram photo, man. That's your Instagram photo.
Absolutely.
So yeah, just a random egg and a random soup, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean it's a great choice. The easiest way to make top ramen even just better. Just so simple, and it's there. I definitely don't blame you for including that. Yeah, fantastic pick. My next one is I think from North Africa or Middle East. It's one of those two, probably independently developed in both. I had never had it up until probably a year and a half ago, and it's shot up to the number 2 egg, and that is shakshuka, which is fucking fantastic. If you don't know, it's an egg poached in this tomato sauce. There's olive oil, onion, garlic, pepper. It's pretty heavily seasoned too, with paprika, cayenne, and it's fucking delicious, man. It's a staple in the house I'm living in now, and I hope it is forever, because I could just eat this shit every morning.
Damn, dude, I've never had it. Where can I find it?
I don't know. We just make it. It's pretty
Okay.
easy to make though. Honestly, I would just find a recipe and throw it together. I've never had it in a restaurant or anything.
Dope, dope. All right, yeah, I've heard of this dish. And I've
Mhm.
seen like videos and pictures of it, but I've never had a chance to partake. But
Yeah,
that definitely sounds awesome. That definitely sounds
yeah.
awesome.
Highly recommend. It only takes like half an hour to make too. Like it's pretty quick and easy.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. My number one favorite way to eat an egg, or to eat several eggs, is the egg's not the main part of this. Similarly with one of Jared's other picks, but a big I guess a big hit in the Uncommon household is just spam fried rice, um, and eggs on and one thing that my mom told me to do, which a lot of people don't do with fried rice. A lot of people like to crack an egg into the fried rice and then mix it up and then let it cook there. But we actually cook the eggs separate and then mix
Hmm.
them in and undercook them, mix them in at the end so they're fluffy by the time you serve. And so it's like really, really, it's just really nice. Like I don't know, like it's a perfect fried rice topping. Get some green onions in there, some caramelized onions, some caramelized garlic. Um, and that's all you need, like a lot of people have really, really fancy fried rices, really, really complicated veggie pepper combos. I'm like, no, you just need to make it with spam, eggs, and rice, and that's it, and
Hmm.
oil. But but yeah. Spam fried rice, add egg at the end. That's my favorite way to eat eggs.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Like first time I cooked the eggs separately when I was making fried rice, I was like, I'm never doing this shit the first way ever again. It just makes the rice weird if you like mix it in,
Yeah.
unless your rice is super dry. Yeah, it's just so much better to cook separate and throw in. I haven't really had a lot of spam in my life, and so maybe I need to dip my toes back into the spam world. Um,
Um, I recommend getting the one that's like it's got like a red banner on it and it says 25% less sodium. And
okay,
yeah, I like that better because then you can always add more salt if you need more salt. But
yeah,
yeah.
gives you a little more control. Good idea. Good thinking. Yeah, a fantastic pick. Fried rice, egg, also narrowly missed my list. But for my number one, I went with simplicity and versatility.
Very cool.
It is going back to the breakfast dish, and that's just a breakfast scramble. You can throw whatever the fuck you're craving in there.
Yep.
It's the easiest dish in the world. You just cook whatever, throw some eggs, scramble it in, and you're good. Like it depends heavily on what I'm craving. Any veggies we got lying around, I'm throwing in. It's just the easiest and the tastiest, and I don't know, something about it is just like has Sunday morning, just weekend off at home, just cooking breakfast for your people you love and chowing down and starting the day off right. And that's just some wholesome vibes right there.
That's so good, dude. Yeah, I didn't even think about a scramble. That's a great choice for a number one.
Mhm. Yeah.
Lately, we've been doing the ground beef, mushroom, and spinach scramble a lot. It's
Hell
pretty
yeah.
nice.
Yeah. A damn classic. Yeah, now I'm hungry and I want some eggs.
Oh man, let's just turn this episode into a cooking vlog.
Let's do it. I'm telling you, this podcast is like a one review of oh, why can't I remember? What's that ramen western?
Tampopo.
Tampopo. It's just one Tampopo review away from from being a cooking podcast.
True.
Um,
True.
but we're not here to talk about eggs anymore. We're here to crack on with the second best new show of 2022. And that's The Bear. I mean, I don't know. That's very subject to change. Yeah, but before we do, it's Zikiko. This installment of Jared Reed's poorly written reviews of TV shows we're watching because it's funny and it makes them laugh and stuff. They gave it a 1 out of 10. And they said, if you like stress in your life, if you lack stress in your life and you crave it, and then this is for you, for all the people, for all the people with conscious of life and therefore already having at least a decent plate of stress to deal with. I advise you to skip this one. Yes, this may be a perfect portrayal of what the stress level is like in a coked up high pressure kitchen. That does not make an argument for people to watch. I mean, I'm sure there are videos out there of a decent portrayal of people getting beaten to death, but that doesn't mean that needs to be watched. This was pure stress.
First of all, two very different acts.
Yeah. I know which one I would rather watch.
Same. And also, like, the first, like, 7 words that you said, I was like, we're off to a great start. Like,
yeah. For all other people with conscious of life.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Very, very psychological, our friend here.
Oh yeah. If you haven't seen it, watch it. First of all, we're gonna have a lot of spoilers coming up, so do yourself a favor. Why ruin a good thing? But if you have seen it or you haven't and you're a glutton for punishment and just want to hear our thoughts, thanks for listening, I guess. And The Bear is a new show from FX, streaming on Hulu, about a young chef who comes from arguably the greatest restaurant in the world, the French Laundry, and he comes back home to Chicago to run the sandwich shop / restaurant that his addict brother left for him after committing suicide. And it's a fantastic show. And I love it a lot. It's very stressful, like the people say, but I think it balances the just disaster that kitchens are on a daily basis, and balances it super well with a passion for cooking, interpersonal conflicts out the wazoo, some of the most lovable characters to grace the screen this year, some very hateable characters that get redeemed. It's just got it all, man. It's beautifully shot, beautifully edited. And I mean, we'll get into details on why I think that. But I think every single episode is damn near perfect in this show. And that's a hard feat. Sometimes you got to have those filler episodes, and I don't think there's a single episode of filler in here. It's kind of nonstop action and reaction, and I love it a lot, man. I really enjoy this one. I will give it. We do ratings for TV shows, right? It's been a while.
Yes.
That's the thing we do. Okay. I just want to make sure before I throw numbers out.
Sure.
Yeah. I'll give it a 9.2.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. I think The Bear is so entertaining. I didn't watch Shameless, but I was aware of Jeremy Allen White's talent. I know. I think the combination of like him and like a few others like kind of upped everybody's thirst for short kings. And so I
True.
I was also very surprised to see a lot of actors that I didn't know were in this show. I'm glad, like, literally everybody was telling me to watch this. Jared was the first one to tell me to watch it, but my brother was telling me, Renato was telling me, a bunch of people, and I'm glad I checked it out, man. I'm glad I gave it a shot and watched it because it's very, very impressive for a show with no like huge names behind it. but like I didn't recognize Lionel until like episode 5. I was like, oh shit, that's that's Lionel from Lawyer Squad. Like nobody told me that. Yeah, food and cinema are like two of my favorite things, and so I'm glad that this movie really dives deep into both. I think the editing is pretty fearless, and I like that they're not afraid to cut to photographs. They're not afraid to use various techniques in the same scene. I think the cast is really talented, really stacked with talent. The choreography alone shows the just passion and dedication from the people in front and the people behind the camera. And also the hiring of Matty Mathis as an actor, like perfect. Like he's a revelation as an actor, but also he like just having him for technical schooling and or technical what you call it, advisement. I think it was a good move. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I think maybe I would have liked like one or two more episodes just to get to know the characters a bit better. But I think every episode that we did get was pretty was just really engaging and really like I said, full of passion. And so I can't wait for season 2. I'm going to be very stoked for it, and I'm going to give season 1 a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, hell yeah. What other show could bring Lionel from Loiter Squad, Molly Ringwald, and Joel McHale together?
Crazy. I almost like squealed and giggled when they revealed that Michael was played by John Bernthal. I was like, it was great.
A perfect casting too. Just like everything you hear about him, and then just seeing his face, you're like, hell yeah. A great moment. Yeah, man, it's tight. You mentioned the technical side, and I think that's where the show started getting a lot of praise, outside of like its writing and its execution, is just like kind of the accuracy in the kitchen. I've seen a lot of chefs online praising it. They didn't use any hand doubles. All the cuts are by the actors, which is insane. just a wild move. And I think, like you said, having Matty Matheson on set, sending the actors to like culinary school and kitchens to get them acquainted with how it works, paid off tenfold. Because even in the limited amount of food service, been in adjacent to the kitchen in a burger place. I wouldn't really count our Chipotle as a kitchen experience, but there's some of the same things. But based off my limited experience and what I've seen, they've nailed it. They knocked it out of the park, and it creates such a ground floor for the show to work with. It just plants its roots super deep, and I love that, man. How does this compare to other depictions of kitchens that you've seen? I know we have a shared love for Chef. We both watched that one, the one take one that you recommended to me from last year. I want to say Burnt, but that's that other shit from what's his face.
Yeah, that's Bradley Cooper. Boiling Point was the
Boiling Point.
Yeah,
we've seen, especially recently, a large influx of these shows based off being in the kitchen. How does this one rank up in its depiction for you?
This one I think is man, it's hard to stack it against Chef, because Chef is just it's a very different movie, and also it has that kind of meta textual element of like Jon Favreau talking about his own career. Whereas The Bear is very much about it's about restaurants, but it's also kind of the restaurant as a microcosm for Chicago as a whole. And so I think in that sense, it's maybe better than Boiling Point. If Boiling Point is about London, but I don't know if Boiling Point is about London or not. But I think, as far as like the way of like managing pacing and like depicting the kind of total insanity, and then utter joy of being in a food service of any kind. I think I think this show has probably nailed it the best, at least in recent memory.
Yeah.
And it's just it's difficult to compare it to the other to those two specifically, but I think I think it's at least in the same league as Chef, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned something about something in there about it being a depiction of Chicago and having the restaurant like kind of a microcosm of that, which I love because few times I've visited Chicago, big fan, one of my favorite cities I've ever visited, and it shows the spirit super well in this. And one of the ways that I really liked it was through a montage that they do. I think it's like beginning of episode 1 even, or maybe even beginning of one of the episodes, after the bridge face off with the bear. But it just reminds me of the editing style and how that kind of services both being in Chicago and being in the kitchen. What did you think of the editing in this show?
The editing was great because I think I mentioned it earlier. Like they play with different styles of editing in the same scene sometimes, and it'll keep you on your toes. But it really helps the time go by really fast. These episodes are 20 to 30 minutes. The last one is 50 minutes, but they all feel like they're 15. It really likes to soak up every single, like, I don't know how to say it, but like every single station. Like sometimes they'll do like they'll dissolve through like 4 different shots of turning over the beef in the skillet, and it's and none of the shots will ever be completed. It'll just be like a straight up like like 4-way dissolve thing, and it's really cool. But then right after that, it's a really stressful thing about paying the bills, about being in debt. And I think I don't know, I've never been to Chicago, but city life is kind of like that. It kind of tears you, pulls and pushes you, but then there are moments where you're stuck waiting in line, or you're stuck just in one spot and you have time to reflect, and then automatically boom, it's back to reality. It's back to, or whatever the reality is of just being on the clock constantly. I also appreciate that the takes are long but dynamic. Like, and that's not even just in the last in the second to last episode where it's a big oneer. There's it, like, oftentimes they'll do like a close up, and instead of cutting to the other close up, they'll just pan right over, and it's and I appreciate the show for doing that, because it like I said, it keeps us on our toes. It keeps us on our toes for the editing.
Yeah. Probably my favorite oneer, apart from episode 7, because it's kind of an outlier in those, is when Tina fucks up the mashed potatoes, and it follows her all the way through the kitchen, and then she comes back and Sid had like replaced it, and it's just so good, man. And it gets such a good awareness of the space, which I really love. The editing style in this is incredibly unique. It feels like it has its own voice and style, but it's not like anything. Like, I've seen quick cuts of close-ups before and stuff, but the way they play with it is just superb. Like when they're during prep and money tensions are at a high, they'll have those quick shots, but keep them pretty clear. And then they'll just cut to like Marcus glazing a donut and just sit on it and just sit on that close-up, and you just feel like the breath of relief always comes with like an appreciation for the food they're making, or appreciation for like the people they're with, or the characters that we're growing to love, and it's just you correlate it with just such happy thoughts, even though so much of the show is so stressful and anxiety inducing. It just feels like that bridge shot where the bear is on the other side. It just feels like anything could explode at any moment, but like there's times of peace that you really come to appreciate.
Yeah.
And I think the editing and the cinematography go real hand in hand in this.
Definitely.
There's a lot of crash zooms, a lot of motion, mostly to kind of heighten the tension and the franticness of the edit. And I think it's super well executed there too. A lot of the shots will be obscured to make it look like it's more chaotic, but they'll always have like clear faces, so you know exactly who's talking, their goal during the scene. And I love that about the show. We were praising their oneers. Anything else you want to praise or shit on for cinematography?
No, I don't have anything to shit on for the cinematography, but I also think a big reason why everything felt so glued together was because a lot of the inserts had really over the top like sound design elements to them. Like when they show the picture of the bear design on the wall, you can hear a bear roaring.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, cool. Or like there'll be like whooshes when they're putting something in the pot or the pan, and then
The
like
knife cuts are like crazy loud at all times.
Yeah. And the like the sizzling is just so like it's almost ASMR. It's like really it's
Yeah.
really in there. Yeah. I think I don't know, like did is it just me or were the VFX like not were they pretty bad for you too, or like with the fire?
Yeah, the fire stuff was real bad.
Yeah,
It
I
looked
wasn't
like a
sure.
After Effects default like PNG video.
Yeah, I don't blame them super hard because everybody's on a TV schedule, which I've looked at, and like it's insane. I haven't looked at their specific thing, but like generally TV shows have really stupidly insane schedules, and so I don't blame them too hard for the lack of like blending or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think also just I don't know how you would if you're shooting in a real kitchen and you're shooting with that style, like using VFX like that seems just so like why wouldn't they just do the fire
Yeah.
last? I don't know. Like
Yeah, I mean I agree.
it just sounds really difficult to try to use CGI with a style like this. I don't know.
Yeah. And I don't know. They like I can almost forgive it because at times the show does get like um lightweight surreal. Like the bear scenes I mentioned.
Yeah.
There's a scene I think last episode where he like does the fake cooking show and the bear is behind the camera again, and
Right.
like things are disappearing, which also looks kind of not great at all. Um, but I kind of forgive it because they had the kind of like off kilter VFX moments as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't look good.
Okay. I was wondering if anybody else noticed because I haven't seen a whole lot of any criticisms about that or anything, but
Mhm.
yeah, it for me it didn't really take me out of it. Like I still enjoyed it, and um I still understood Carmen's like I still understood that it was like part of Carmen's like ongoing trouble
Mhm.
to rest, and to find some sort of peace.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, Yeah, I guess we can jump into characters and their arcs. We have a pretty strong lead cast of kitchen members. And then there's also like the side characters like Sugar, his sister, Pete, his sister's boyfriend, people like that. Even Maddie kind of falls into or what was his name? Fack in this.
Neil Fack.
Neil Fack. So you get the side characters. Do you have any favorites besides Carmi and I guess Sid because she's kind of the other lead? Any other favorites in the kitchen?
In the kitchen, I loved Ibrahim. I thought he was funny.
Mhm.
I forget. I forgot to write one down. Something he said. Oh yeah, he's like, yeah, I've sewn my friend's asshole before.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I've sewn an
who's? A
asshole.
close friend.
Close friend. I like to calm down Richie after he gets stabbed in the ass. He tells him about a Black Hawk Down.
And it's crazy too because it works for the story. It's like multiple
Yeah.
factions vying for power, and then the central collapses. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's the kitchen. What's going
That's-
on? This is
that's an
great.
allegory.
Oh man, yeah, I like Ibrahim. Is when she was when she was saying like you're like
Chef
the
du
meat,
party.
the chef du partie. He's like I accept. I was like, I like this guy. This guy's great.
Yeah.
I think I like seeing Oliver Platt and stuff. Like he's kind of in every movie ever, which is awesome. That's what I love about him. And he's never failed as a character actor. I think so. Oliver Platt as Cicero, I thought was really cool.
Mhm.
I think episode 4 might be my favorite episode because of
Mhm.
his butting heads with Richie and Carmi at the party.
Mhm.
And then all of them coming together to shit on Pete. Like I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Those are probably my favorites of the side characters. Sugar and Tina were also great too.
Yeah.
Abby Elliott, who I remember from Saturday Night Live, but I haven't seen her in anything since. And then Liza Colon Zayas, who I haven't seen in anything.
No.
Were both very, very good as Sugar and Tina.
Yeah, yeah. I think my favorite is Marcus, because he's just such a wholesome, lovable guy.
Yeah.
And
He's the
just
only character that's not a shitty person. Like
yeah. Like it was super frustrating when he wouldn't make the damn cakes,
Right.
and instead was doing his own shit. But like I would be that exact person in the kitchen too. So you give me an
Right,
inch of
right.
freedom, and I'm gonna be like doing some weird experiments in the corner. And so I really loved him, and I loved his attitude and his arc of like kind of following Sydney's arc, where she's trying to just get respect and a place in the kitchen. He's kind of doing the same, and so it was cool to see them team up and kind of like console each other after they both walked out in episode 7. Big fan of him. And I actually really like Pete. I know he's like
Yeah.
kind of the butt of the joke.
That's
But
why
I
he's
think
great.
yeah, I think he also did a smart thing by like redeeming him and giving him some credit in episode 4 where he's like I know what you've done and like your accomplishments are insane and like people aren't telling you good job, so I want to be a person who does that, but also don't fuck over your sister because she's kind of pissed at you.
Yeah.
It was just such a respectable moment, kind of out of nowhere for that character.
Yeah.
And it's bookended by him laughing at the pickle in the shirt.
Right. It's like,
Look at this
yes.
guy over here. And
So
what's the other? He quotes something at the beginning of that conversation too, which is hilarious. He does like an impression or something that was real bad. I don't
Was it
remember what it was.
Ghostbusters related? I don't remember.
Yeah, where he's like, busted makes me feel good.
That's right.
Yeah, they just like brush him off. But just that scene really earned him some brownie points, and I'm super excited to see how the triangle of interpersonal relationships between him, Carmi, and Carmi's sister plays out, because I think there's a lot of good dynamics there, and I'm super hyped for it.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Even I
sorry.
after you. No, after you.
Yeah. I was just gonna add to the thing about Marcus and Sydney, because they both kind of come full. They're an interesting duo because they both come full circle. They start they start the season idolizing and constantly learning from Carmen, and then they both kind of come together like, yeah, he's a little bitch, but then they both go back to him, and so it's an interesting. It's an interesting way of looking at the relationship between the chef and the Sue and the under chefs. I don't know what they're
Yeah.
at the brigade dynamics, and like how it's kind of, I don't know, inherently abusive but also like constructive, and it's weird. It's weird, but it's interesting to watch. And I also appreciated that when they were flirting, they actually sounded like millennials flirting, like they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they kind of nailed it.
Absolutely. Like it felt improvised. I don't know if it is or not, but like the fact that it felt like, I don't know, genuine was super sweet. Big fan. You mentioned the brigade dynamics and the like how it improves people's work in the kitchen, and in this kitchen especially. And I think the person whose art kind of shows that the most is probably Tina's. I was a little not in love with her character the first time around, but on rewatch, I got a lot more respect. I think there was more than I gave it credit for, because she's such a fucking jerk at the beginning. She's such a little shit, and so I think I was just had some sour grapes on that. But as she kind of learns, especially from Sydney, the main conflict she has is with Sydney just coming in and taking power and trying to change her ways. But when she's like finally admitting, like, I've learned more here in the past 3 months than I have in 30 years or whatever. It is real sweet. And I really grew to like her character in that arc a lot. You said that she was one of your favorites. Why was she a standout for you?
Primarily because of that. Like, I love, if you remember from our Breaking Bad review, I love the characters that are pieces of shit in season one. Because if it gets renewed for a second season and a third season and a fourth season, that means that character is going to get that character's arc is going to be that much more satisfying. If they're distasteful in the beginning, Tina is not quite as extreme as Hank, but like I see her point, man. Like if someone was doing that, if I was that age and someone who's as old, like just a little bit older than my own kid, like started talking to me like that, like I would lose it. I would lose it way worse than she would. And then Sydney tries to save it. She's like, I know what it's like to be a woman in the kitchen. Like, bitch, shut up, dude. Like I was saying that at the same time Tina was saying that. Even though I relate to Sydney the most, maybe, like I was still feeling that, like, yeah, exactly. Like that's exactly how I would react if I was in Tina's place. And she just lost, and like everybody this series, whether they show it or not or talk about it or not, every single one of them except for Sydney is dealing with the loss of Michael. And every single one of them loved him they say it in the show, everybody thought he was their best friend. And so all these, this shitty system is complicated, it's messed up, but it's really not efficient, and it's messy, but it's a memory that you have, but it's a system that was defined by your best friend who died. And of course he would be hesitant to change, of course he would be hesitant to do that. I remember Ibrahim was reading a review, was reading the review, and he was saying, and the reviewer, it's a shitty review, but he has something in the beginning there, a little bit, where it's like, can Chicago like evolve without changing what makes it special?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where that microcosm thing comes in, where it's like, can the original beef evolve without changing what makes it special? And and I see that most in the conflict between, or I see it as well in Richie, but I just really like the way it played out in between Sydney and Tina's conflict.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that is most apparent in Richie, because all he wants is to like keep it as that spot for the locals, something like Chicago, as Chicago as possible. He just wants the Bears logo on the wall, just mobsters outside the door. And I think he has the weakest arc in this season. I don't think I buy his change because I haven't seen it like fully come to. His like big turning point is calling the cops on his friends and getting them out so they can be a real restaurant. But I don't know. I don't really buy the change fully. I don't think it was 100% earned. And it's a great oneer for Sydney's presence and how it pays out after. And his performance is pretty good, but the conversation with his daughter on the phone, that's supposed to be like his empathetic moment to get you on his side and not see him as an asshole anymore, doesn't work for me. I still like, I don't know. I still think he's the least likable in the show, and he's kind of supposed to be. But for me, it just didn't quite hit the mark as much as it could have, and it's probably one of the things keeping it from being a 10. But what are your thoughts on Richie?
Yeah, a big part of me thinks that Richie's so far is just like, this is a setup arc for him. Like,
absolutely.
Like it's like we're gonna see some crazy shit from Richie at the end of season 2, I think. But I don't know. I agree with you. I think he changes the least out of everybody, but I do think that getting arrested was his turning point. I think that's when he decides to give the letter to Carmi, which for him was accepting Michael's death, was accepting his best friend's death, and whether or not it doesn't resolve his conflict with the changes of the original beef. It doesn't accept his conflict with dealing with his divorce on top of dealing with everything else in the kitchen, and dealing with the kind of butting heads with the rest of the leadership in the kitchen. But it does kind of force him to confront his grief, and it's a very roundabout way. It's not the healthiest way, but it does work a little bit, and I think we're gonna see hopefully more of where Richie's coming from, and why his perspective is the way he is.
He was like my least favorite arc in season 1, but my most anticipated arc in season 2. So I don't know. It might be worth it. We'll just have to see how it plays out. And then one of our 2 leads, probably, I don't know, is sub-lead character a term, is Sydney, played by Ayo Edbiri, who Ayo. who I only knew as Missy from Big Mouth before this.
Oh, what? That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, which is fantastic and hilarious. Yeah, she is a fantastic character and is acted beautifully. It's a fantastic performance as well. Probably the character that I resonated with most, and kind of had the most to latch onto just personally. Someone who's kind of struggling in their career. The catering business like, I don't know, the background that we got was small but fruitful ground for her. And the little bit of home life we saw was fantastic. But man, seeing how hardworking she is and easily brushed off she is, I was like, fuck, I have been there 1,000 times, and it's spirit crushing. And so I think just seeing her trying to earn a spot with Carmi, I don't know, it spoke to me, and I think it was super well written, and even better performed. But what did you think of Sid?
Yeah, man. I knew nothing about this show going in, and I didn't know that that yeah, I had no idea about this character's arc or how much they were going to be in the show or anything. And yeah, I found myself both you know, rooting for her and relating to her, and also rolling my eyes at her, like, just let it go, man, just let it go, just keep going, just keep going, you
Yeah.
got this. But yeah, I think it's a really excellent performance, every bit as convincing to me of her kitchen experience as Jeremy Allen White's.
Mhm.
And yeah, I yeah, exactly what she said, man. I feel that so hard about being brushed off despite all that hard work. And I've done exactly that. I've refused help to lift something, and then I drop the thing. That's
Mhm.
happened to me. And it punctuates and emphasizes a lot of the pain in this show. But um, I think it's incredibly valuable. I think we do need that character in this, someone to be an outsider,
Mhm.
to kind of show, like, okay, this is not normal, you know,
Yeah.
and that this kitchen dynamic is, you know, it's maybe typical, but this is very, very complicated. It's very, very weird. It's a very weird situation. And I'm excited to see where she goes from here in season 2. You know, being the sous chef of the Bear, and
Mhm.
yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Especially because like it ends on a note of them being more of a team, which
Definitely.
I'm very happy to see. I liked the conflict between her and Carmi. I think it was super good in this season, but I wouldn't want that the whole time. Otherwise, it just feels like an abusive, like, whiplash dynamic for way too long.
Yeah.
Um, um, yeah, and so it's cool to see her kind of get her dues, because like when she wrote the 27-page report on everything that the business is failing at, and he was like, whatever, and just like puts it down. I was like, bro, that's your solution to everything you're stressing about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. And that insanely frustrating at times, but also lovable and also passionate character of Carmi, played by Jeremy Allen White. I've never seen Shameless, so I had no idea who this boy was. But when I watched this show with Megan, she was like, "Oh, that's the hot guy from Shameless." And I was like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah. I don't know what it is, man. The ladies are obsessed with Lip Gallagher. That's the character. I saw him in Dave Franco directed a horror movie, and that's where I saw him.
Mhm.
And he was good in that.
But he's fantastic in this. I
Yeah.
absolutely loved him. in every scene he was in. A super flawed protagonist to have, but we understand all of his flaws. He even kind of spells it out for us in the Al-Anon meeting, which is also a great one when he's doing his speech. Yeah, there's just so much texture to this character. Super dynamic character. From the career weight that stems from his family issues to trying to resolve his inner feelings about his brother passing away after kind of shutting him out of his life, to dealing with all these people that his brother, like, that looked up to his brother and kind of not worshipped him, but like really just believed in what he was doing, even if they could see it failing. And just every single dynamic is so antagonistic towards Carmi, from his perspective at least. And then on top of that, the financial troubles, the professional stress, and everything else. It comes to a lot, and I think they handled it all. I think they juggled so much pressure on this dude in such a good way. Pretty much every shot, he looks dead ass tired and just like on to his absolute limit. And yeah, it's hard to throw so much on the shoulders of a character so quick in a TV show. And I think they handle it super well. But what did you think of Carmen?
Yeah, he makes or breaks the show.
Yeah.
I think it's the arc that was the most impressive to me, the most well fleshed out, the best of the series, the best thing about the series. And it was also the thing that like kind of made me hesitate a little bit about it, because I would watch the teaser, or I would watch the teaser when it first dropped on like Instagram or something, and I was like, oh, another dark and gritty show about creativity. Great. And then of course when the recommendations from my friends started coming in, then I was like, okay, I'll check it out. But yeah, it was I think that the uniqueness of his character being someone who pursued, who climbed to the top of the mountain so that he could just so that he could get enough respect to work in a shitty family joint. And then he finally gets that, but at the cost of his brother dying. And that's before the show even starts. And that to me was like, it was just, I had no idea about the brother angle. I had no idea about why he was even there going into the show. And so kind of getting that slow feed of information over the course of the entire thing was really, really, it resulted in a really, really satisfying arc that was non-linear, and I needed to wait for a lot of the information from his background. But it all pays off as soon as I read that note card that says "Let it rip." I start crying with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there, and I just finished watching the last episode, rewatching the last episode. An hour and a half ago, and and yeah, it still hits. It's fire, as they say. It's and then you see him running around being a little bitch, but then as soon as people taste his food, the camera stops. The camera just sometimes it stays handheld, but a lot of the time they go to a tripod, and you see them taste it, and their eyes light up, and they're like, okay, yeah, this is why I'm still here. And so the show has me fully convinced that if I were there, I would follow that little bitch to the end of the world. Like,
you same, honestly.
Yeah. So I always wondered about that, because I never felt happy in a kitchen.
But I've never felt happy.
I mean, yeah, no, I'm just
That's
kidding.
it.
But no. But like those environments always kind of, I've always kind of hated being in those. So I was like, why would these people stay, man? Why would they stay? And then, and then you get that shot of Richie trying the sandwich at the very end of episode 1. and he's like, and he's cursing at himself because he's like, man, I get it. And I hate that I get it, but I get it, you know? Seeing Carmen, like both from like his perspective and seeing him from the perspective of others, resulted in a very, very satisfying character arc, I think.
Yeah, and you can see Sid really rallying behind that too, because she's always like telling people like he's good, like you will learn a lot. This will be a successful restaurant. We just have to get through the swamp water that is this phase of the restaurant. And at the end of the show, something that I've seen criticism for, so I'm curious to get your thoughts. Was the Deus Ex Machina that kind of ushers in phase 2 of the restaurant, in the form of cash hidden in pasta sauce, or I think it's just tomatoes. But what did you think of that? Because a lot of people said that it didn't feel like earned. It doesn't feel like it's just kind of a cop out, whatever ending. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
No, they tease it in the very first episode. It ends with him throwing it, about to open it, and about to solve all of his problems, and then he throws it away. We know the number. We know that he's $300,000 in debt. We don't know why. It's
well,
just
you hear
just,
KBL come up a lot too, which is on the bottom of the can. And
it's a lot of teasing. It's a lot of mystery, but you know, it is what it is. I don't think it's Deus Ex Machina. I think it's just they just made us wait, and they left the seeds in there, right? Because they even say like the pasta makes no sense, or the spaghetti makes no sense.
The spaghetti doesn't fit on the menu. He asks why he bought so many small cans when it's cheaper and more efficient to get the big ones.
It's great. And it kind of makes his suicide even more sad, you know, knowing how much he planned it. Like this took 2 years to plan. You know, and it increases the weight of that on the rewatch. But it also it's a huge weight lifted off of Carmi's shoulders, and a huge weight lifted off of our shoulders, because we know that he really did love his brother. He didn't give him the restaurant out of spite or as an insult, you know. Or because he felt like he had to. He did it because he wanted to make his brother's life better. Give him a shot.
I'm in agreement with you. I think upon rewatch, there's a lot of clues that it will happen, and that the cash is in there. But on the first watch, I could definitely see kind of being annoyed that like, oh, these cans that they happen to not use for anything at any point is their saving grace. So I get the complaints, but I'm with you. I think they are relatively unwarranted. Dude, I'm hyped for season 2. Anything else you want to talk about before we do favorite episodes?
Let me see. I think a lot of Sydney and Carmi both talk about like this place could be different, and I was struggling to figure out what it was, and what exactly the different thing was, and I realized, I think, not until the rewatch, that the thing that made it was different was the restoration of confidence in every single chef that works there. You know, a lot of the show's about grief. A lot of it's about you know, feeling stuck or changing when you don't want to change. But you know, despite all their flaws, a lot of the characters are despite all their flaws and despite how many times they're shaken, a lot of the characters are their confidence is restored by another person, and we don't really see that, I think, in the cuisine world. I think especially in that scene with Joel McHale, like a lot of what that is about is you got to be perfect or you're done. know, you can't pick yourself back up. And so I think that was a really satisfying thing throughout the series. You know, when Marcus causes the fuse break and he's consoled by Carmi. When Marcus gets his donuts thrown on the ground, he's consoled by Sydney. It's and he finally gets that answer, like, yeah, these are really good. These are, and so yeah, I thought that was a really nice thing to add because because you know, growing up watching Hell's Kitchen, growing up watching Kitchen Nightmares, anything with Gordon Ramsay or Marco Pierre White, you know, these guys were hotheads in their kitchens, but seeing, because that's the world that they lived in, not necessarily because they're terrible people, but that's just the world that shaped them. And so seeing them try to build a different world within the original Beef, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, and being able to see Carmen and Sydney's like previous experience kind of like counterbalance that. Like, she details that she worked at a place for like, I don't forget how long she said, but like 2 years or something, and she's like, all I did was zest, that was all they let me do. And so you see like tinges of how ruthless kitchens can be, and so you do feel like, okay, this could be different. This could be like a family, like they make a point to say so many times. And it works because you buy into it, and it makes you want them to succeed even more.
Yes, chef. Yes, chef. Shall we do a favorite episode, chef?
Yes, chef. Yes, Jeff. We should.
Yeah.
You wanna kick us off?
Yeah. I mean, it's 4 and 8. I don't know. Like, it's pretty easy for me. But the reason I think those episodes specifically stuck with me the most was for me, 4 was the funniest one. We've talked a lot about the dark stuff in this show, but it's really, really funny. Like, every episode is pretty funny, but Dogs episode 4, directed by Christopher Storr and written by Sofia Levitsky Weitz, was just really, really awesome. Like, giving kids Xanax and being okay with it. It was hilarious.
He's like, are they dead?
And then when he's like, hey, you guys will see something disgusting. And then they look at Pete taking a nap.
Pete.
It's like, even when he's asleep, I want to punch him. Like,
you ever seen something so vile in your life?
Yeah, exactly. Pete laughing at the hot dog fight in the beginning.
Yeah. Them
so
having
ridiculous.
a backup hot dog.
Right, I'll get the spare from the basement. It's just it just made everything really, really cool. And then you also get the beginning of Marcus's chocolate cake, which was a satisfying arc when he serves it at the end with lemon zest, and it looks so beautiful. And then Sydney kind of earning the respect of the staff, being left alone. I thought, it's just a really cool episode. And then episode 8 is really what makes season 1 good. A lot of the loose ends that they've had get tied up pretty nicely. There are still a few, like we said earlier, but you know, it's the main conflicts between the characters find a resolution that doesn't leave them in a place that's perfect, but it does leave them in a place where it's like, okay, things can get better now. Now we are out of the hole. Now everything is up to us to make this thing better. So,
yeah, I mean, those are probably my top 2 favorites. I think episode 4 is the best episode for me. It's even the moment I appreciate Tina's arc more, is because it's when they're like really butting heads, and she's like really pushing to make Tina better. And I think that earned a lot for me. I also really liked episode 7's fantastic. because it doesn't feel gimmicky, and
Right.
it probably should. But it's also a great like just the tension is at an all-time high
Yeah.
at the end of like season or episode 6, and then this is like the explosion point. And it's super cool to see, and it's chaotic and it's messy, and I love that they cut before the service starts. They're like, we don't
Yeah.
even need to show you. You know it's going to be shit, and we'll just end it here. And I thought that was a bold move, and I loved it a lot. And episode 5 is also a real good one, because Sydney's doing her shit, and there's a lot of good Maddie Matheson moments in this
Oh, yep.
one too, which is also fantastic. But I think 4 and 8 are the standouts, particularly for those reasons. One thing I didn't like about episode 5 though is Marcus's roommate is in it, and I don't like him.
You don't like Chester, man?
He was good the first time he shows up, and like Sydney like shuts him down, and like I
He
don't
hugs
know.
her for no reason.
Yeah.
That was great.
And he's like, I'm a designer. She's like, what do you design? He's like, everything.
He said all of it.
All of it. Like that moment I liked, but like after that I was like, we'll see. But I think if he comes back in season 2, especially if they expand on potential Marcus and Sydney flirting relationship stuff, I think he'd be a cool addition to their dynamic. But I'm not a huge fan of him just showing up.
Yeah.
Fac, he can show up anytime.
I love Fax so much, and I like that. Like Maddie Matheson is an actor now. Like this is
Yeah.
great. We're in the best timeline. Every time I think we're in the worst timeline, we get shit like that. Like yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he just as a person lives in my head rent free because he did a Vice special about like the Filipino food in Canada, and the way he would pronounce Filipino, like it was just so him. Like it was great. Yeah, I like episode 5 too.
What a treasure. Today I was recommended on YouTube. I didn't watch it yet, but it was him and somebody else cooking the sandwich that they make in episode 1. And I'm probably gonna watch that after this Zoom ends.
Same.
Yeah. Anyways, hope you guys liked the bear.
Yeah.
Rawr.
Yeah, man. Shout out Chicago. Maybe I'll go visit in November. We'll see.
Yeah. Weirdly clean. Like the cleanest city that I've been to. As far as big cities go. Like it makes San Francisco, LA can even make San Francisco look like a dumpster.
Right.
But Chicago makes like every city look like trash in comparison.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm extra excited then.
Yeah.
My
Their pizza sucks though.
my only 3 like sports goals in life are to see a Laker game, which I've never seen, a Knicks game, and a Bulls game. So we'll see how tickets are when I get there. Probably too much, but whatever.
Well, if you're there, you might as well.
That's true. Anyway, yeah, folks, that was The Bear. Go check it out on Hulu. Go follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the jazz stuff things. Yeah. Yeah, chef, can I get hands? We love you. Goodbye.